Today we're going to talk about navigating the numbers. And although I like numbers the best, I will not lie. We're going to talk a little bit about program and a little bit about finance. Okay, so let me kind of gauge the range. If you are program only, would you raise your hand? Program only? Okay, finance only. Okay, how about you do those? Okay. All right. One of the things that I like to say when we do our summer training is that we want program and finance to be friends. I didn't say best friends, but I did say friends. Okay, even at the South Carolina Department of Education, we're not best friends, but we're friends. I have to call down to the Grants County office and talk directly to them. They have to talk to me about gaps pretty often. And so I want to tell you that if you are new to the role, if you are not new to the role, you need to talk to each other. Okay, the left hand has to know what the right hand is doing. And when we start talking about Title IV in a few moments, you're going to see how you're going to have to talk when it comes down to making your claims and gaps for that particular grant. So make friends between program and finance. It will really benefit you in the long run. Okay. I'm going to start out by talking about something that I discussed in the Title V session and in the session that I did with Martha Walker yesterday. Talking about planning and funding and how they should work hand in hand. And Tiffany talked a good bit about this today. Although we do not have what we call a one plan. Right now you do district and school renewal plans and strategic plans, and then you do these comprehensive needs assessment, and you got all these plans going on in your district. I want to encourage you that when you come together as a big stakeholder group, take a look at the DSSR plan and the goals for the district, and come in thinking about how the funds, Title I, II, III, IV, V, how they can support the goals of the district. I said this yesterday, that I want you to fund your plan rather than planning your funds. If we're not careful, what we can do is go from year to year just rolling the project forward and not really looking and planning the way that we should based upon the needs of the children in the district. Even if we talk about Title II, and I said this in that session, although it is for the adults in the district, really, it is to make those adults more effective to then increase student achievement. So ultimately, you are looking at student achievement and return on investment. Is what we are purchasing giving us a return on investment? If it is not, we have conversations to amend or to put something else in the grants. Yesterday when we talked about Title II, I talked about class size reduction teachers. That is not done just for behavior, right? If your district is doing class size reduction, hold the student achievement data and see if having less kids in a classroom is helping academically. This goes back to having an effective person standing in front of those kids, right? That term effective is going to grow larger and larger in terms of Title II, especially as long as the funds continue, right? So, back to planning and understanding the allowability of the grants. If you are a federal programs director and you are in charge of multiple grants, like for my district, I'm taking care of Title I, II, and IV. When you have stakeholder meetings and everybody comes to the table, you need to come with the expertise of what these grants will allow the district to fund. And you take care of looking at the goals for the district, and you say, Title I can help fund that. Title II can help fund that. Okay, I will tell you that C.R. Hall has now moved into the team lead position that oversees those district plans. I'm going to be looking at those plans as I look at my grants. And my ladies are going to do the same thing. We should begin to see a correlation. Okay? That is the futuristic goal, that everything holds hands to meet the needs of the students in the district. So that's what we want to see. We want to see you funding and planning and holding hands. Years ago when I was doing this, I really thought in silos. What is Title I going to do? And what is Title II going to do? But the overarching goal is, these are goals, and how can those help support goals? Okay, so fund your plan rather than planning your fund. And I say that now because it is the time of year where you are spring planning. And we are soon to give out preliminary allocations. So you should be pulling the data, taking a look at what worked, especially in the 24 grants and the first year of the 25 grants. What worked and what didn't? And what do we need to make changes on? This is another thing that I said yesterday, that you have the same program manager on my team that oversees Title I, II, IV, V, and N&D. You have the same program manager from year to year. So conversations are going to come. Let's say we're talking about Martha Walker. She's your program manager. She can look at your plans and say, well, you've done that activity now for 3 years. Why do I see the same activity? Is it working? Tell me about it. We're going to do some district highlights. Okay, we're going to look for some things that are working, that we are getting a return on the investment. And then there's also the other side of that coin. We've seen it in here 3 years, and it's not working. Something's wrong. We need to edit accordingly. Okay? So think about those things during your spring planning. Work the funds to the good of the goals of your district. All right. Let's talk about when we give out preliminary allocations. I can only speak about Titles I, II, IV, V, and N&D. So please note that that's the grants that I'm referring to in this presentation. Okay, so when we give out preliminary allocations sometime in May, we are still on track to give it out as soon as we get it. Okay, in Sheree's session, she will give you some more updates on preliminary allocations. But when it comes to you, we will give a deadline. So when it's due back to us, so we can start reading. My team has a 30-day feedback window between us and the district. Remember that we're reading plans for the whole state. So within 30 days, you're going to get some initial feedback of submitting that plan. And then you have 30 days to revise and send back to us. Why is that, Jennifer? Because we have planning expectations too. And we want to make sure that you meet the planning expectations. And I'll show you those in just a moment. This escalation model is what happens regarding submitting projects. Okay, so I want you to understand that you can feel like you're gonna have Title I in July 1st, it's always July 1st. You don't feel like you're gonna have it in, you need an extension of 2 weeks or so, you have that conversation with the program manager. Okay, that's different than it's just not coming in on time, it's just sitting. Okay, conversations begin to happen on my side between the program manager and myself, and I try to intervene. Then conversations go from me to Jewel. We have conversations, and then it kind of goes on up further. All right, so I want you to see the escalation model to understand the expectations in regards to the GEMS piece of it. Okay, this is not gaps, this is GEMS. Okay, this is the claiming expectations. You notice that we have claiming expectations for Titles 1, 2, 4, and 5. Now, I understand that you got the 25 grants late. The uppers at the South Carolina Department of Education understand that ART was slowing down in this time. It is my hope that won't be the case for the 26th, but these claiming expectations still hold, especially for Title I, and I'm going to get into that. So I want you to be aware of what we expect you to claim and when. And you can make a monthly claim, but we do anticipate quarterly claims coming through. If you do not feel that you're going to be able to make a particular quarterly claim, please email Sheree Mosley directly. Because she pulls that data, she starts sending emails at the end of the quarter after grants accounting has kind of had time to clean it up. If you have wondered why sometimes they are a little bit prolonged after the quarter has ended, that's because we are giving the grants accounting office time to let the dust kind of die down before we start emailing. So these are the expectations, so just be aware of what is expected and when. Okay? These are the type of emails that Sheree sends, and I'm sure you've seen these before. She kind of says on our end, this is what we see. Okay, and this is the deadline for submitting claims per quarter. I do need to say for the finance folks in the room that our office, we only do certain pieces of gaps. So when it comes to the August 15th deadline, that system automatically shuts down. I cannot do anything about it. And so that particular deadline, please know that when it closes down, even the grants accounting office can't do anything about it. The system itself shuts down for that particular deadline. Let me say, when it comes to August the 15th, I go home when it's time for me to go home. I love you, but I have children. And at 8 o'clock at night, I might not pull it back up. Okay? The end of the business is what you need to keep in mind, not 12 o'clock midnight. Okay? You might get lucky and I pull it back up and process something, but be courteous and put it in there in a timely manner. Because if it comes past that, I'm going to be honest, I'm thinking about that in terms of risk assessment. Don't wait till the last minute for that particular deadline, especially. Okay, let's talk about Title I, the expectations for Title I. By law, the district is supposed to expend at least 85% of the funds, pretty much in the first year of the grant. And I understand that sometimes it's difficult to do if you're working with principals, and I get that. This goes back to the district office pushing the expectation that this has to happen. So whether you're giving your own deadlines or whatever you need to do to ensure that 15% is met, you need to do that. Because what happens is, however much the district misses it by, we have to take that amount back. So just be mindful to watch it quarterly, keep good track of that expensing and claiming that's going on. If you don't do gaps yourself in your program, walk down to the finance office and have a conversation with whoever's inputting your claims and say, where are we? Let's talk about this. They're claiming if everything comes through, you need to be thinking about it by activity. So I'm talking about Title I, and I say to the principal, Ms. Wagers, you have not claimed anything for this particular activity. Do you not need it? Because the plan reads that you need 10 reading kits, and I see you've not purchased them, and we way down here into the third quarter. Something's wrong with that. We need to edit. We need to amend the plan, or you need to purchase what you said you need. Okay. You, as the federal programs director, are supposed to keep up with it like that. Work with your principal by activity. That will help you get down to the 15%. Think about it by activity. Okay? The last bullet says the district may submit a waiver request if the district is eligible to utilize a waiver. A request may be granted only once every 3 years. You can email Sarah Wagers or myself ahead of time if you don't know if your district is eligible. Do not bank on the fact that I think we might be. Because if you're wrong, it's going to cost the district money that we will have to be obligated. And I will tell you, it's not fun to have to go into gyms and pull money out of plans and then go into gaps and pull money out of gaps by the amount the district missed by. It's a lot of work. Do the work on the front end to make sure that expectation is met. Let me talk to you for just a minute about a couple of new forms. Okay, at the end you'll see these linked in to one of the slides. In times past, what has happened is if a district feels they are eligible, they would send me just a formal letter. It would be addressed to Jules Stanley as the director, but emailed directly to me saying, I keep calling it school. Rose School District is not going to meet 15% expectation due to the following reasons. 25 Title I moving forward, there is a form that you will complete and send to me rather than a formal letter. Okay? Now you'll notice that I have it filled out as an example with some years. That can be edited from the year that you're referencing. Okay? So right now you're about to deal with 25 Title I. Okay? This one is referenced prior to that, so just know that. Okay. If you've ever had money be obligated from your district because they missed the 15%, what happens is the district receives a cover letter. The superintendent directly receives this cover letter and a de-obligated game. And it informs the superintendent that this is how much the district missed it by, and here's your gain associated with the amount minus at the top to give a new total. That indicates to the superintendent that there will be a change coming to the clarification and also to gaps for that grant associated with the amount being de-obligated. That will still happen, but there is now another form that you will see linked, called an acknowledgement form. This will go to the superintendent for that person to say, I acknowledge directly that we did not meet this expectation. And you notice there's a couple of boxes of information that has to be completed as to why not. And it just simply says, I am aware. Okay. So, a couple of new forms on the horizon. This one and the new request form. Jennifer, where do I send this waiver request? Please email it directly to me. I keep the file for 15% within our office, so your program manager would not receive this. In my absence, it could go to Sarah Wade. Okay, but unless I have some kind of health emergency or something, I'm typically in receipt of everything. So it can be emailed directly to me. All right. I want to shift gears and I want to talk specifically now Title IV. Okay. I was just speaking about Title I. Now I want to speak about Title IV. Currently, U.S. Department of Ed has us to collect data. It's called CSPR. And it is collected in 3 of our grants. N&D, Title IV, and REAP. And the way that I receive that information to then disaggregate and send it down to ORDA, Office of Research and Data Analysis at the Department of Education. I send that out for a survey. Well, there's one piece that I'm not sending in a survey, and it is about training in the 3 content areas of Title IV. If you've been to the SCADA conference in the last couple of years, I said, a need for you in your program, if you don't do gaps, to communicate with finance, to type in the word well-rounded, safe and healthy, or technology every time a Title IV claim is made. You did not do it. Florence One did. Every single time. Awesome job. Awesome job. So now, because for 2 years, I've had a couple of ladies in the office pulling that data single-handedly, trying to disaggregate that. That takes so much time. It's either I'm going to have to send it directly to the finance department in your school district in the form of a survey, which is what most states do, or I'm going to have to change gaps to make it that you cannot submit unless you type it in.
Do you have to type it in or the checkbox?
Right now, we are opening, will be a drop down, but up to this point, it's been a little box where you just type in S, safe and healthy, S and H, T for technology. It's very simplistic. We are in the process of having gaps tailored for Title IV that you will have to click the drop down to which content area that claim is associated with.
So that one person finds it in that budget.
Right now, it's a little line to be typed in. This has been the ask for 2 years. So, it's not in there yet. So when you go back to your district, but it's coming. Okay, when Tech IT gets it finished at the State Department, I will email the Title IV program contact that is listed in GIMS that it has occurred. So if your GIMS contact information is not updated in 25 Title IV, please make sure that it is. Because you get an email that GAPS now reflects the change of content area options. Okay? We have to tell the U.S. Department of Ed how much is being claimed in each district and in the state in well-rounded, safe and healthy in technology. I have to report it, and then I have to publicly report it on the website. So I have to have the information. So we did it by hand when I just submitted. Moving forward, now we will be able to run a GAPS report, and there will be so much simpler on our side. So for those of you that have done it, very much appreciate it. And I did see some hit and miss. It was done some, just not every time. Okay, but the data has to be accurate. So therefore, we're going to have to make sure we have a system in place to give you accurate data, because the U.S. Department of Ed does not feel that it's accurate, they call and talk about it. As well they should. Okay? I know what's budgeted by GIMS, but they want to know what is claimed by GAPS. Okay? If they would go with what is budgeted, which should be what is claimed, it would be fine. I could just pull it right out of GIMS, but that's not always the case. So I wanted you to know here that that change is coming. I'll say it again at the summer meeting. I'll say it again at SCADA, and I will also send an email, so you're not surprised. But if your finance person is not here today, if you run Title IV, please make sure that you communicate that an upcoming change is on the horizon. Okay. Sarah takes care of our GANs and all of our ART documents. She runs all that paperwork. So if you are curious about who to contact about what on our team, if you have a question regarding your GAN, cover letter, assurances, terms and conditions, or Jennifer, I didn't get a copy. Sarah's your girl. Okay? Her email is SL Wagers. Okay, it's not S Wagers like Madison J. Rose. SL Wagers at ed.sc.gov. If you are missing something with a GAN, or if you need another copy, anything like that, she's going to talk to you about the unique entity identifier. That's a mouthful. And then I'll come back shortly.
Well, Jennifer was on such a roll today. I really don't have too terribly much to say. So it used to be a DUNS number. Now it's the unique entity identifier number. In 2022, we actually moved over to this UEI number. I just have to make sure that these are updated in SAM.gov before I can distribute any allocations to you. So, and then throughout the grants, the accounting office will make sure that it's updated as well. And that's all for me.
All right. Sheree is going to come and give you an overview of the 25 allocations. A while ago, I was telling you that Sarah is in contact for all of our ART documents. Let me tell you the specialty area of each lady on my team. That will help you know if you've got a question about this, who to contact, so on and so forth, while we're so many in the room. Okay? So all of us are program managers. Everybody's assigned to districts, me included. Okay, so I'm a program manager for some as well. Martha Walker really helps me a lot with Title IV. So she can take any type of out-of-the-box question that you have about Title IV, as well as your other program managers, but she specifically sits in on some Title IV sessions for me with the U.S. Department of Ed. Okay? Sheree, she's your allocation guru. So if you have questions about allocations, when we give those out, preliminary or final, if you say, oh, it dropped a little bit, you can call she or I. We can go over that. We do have an internal control that 3 of us look at allocations. Can I just tell you, the money's got to be right. Money's got to be right. Because once I give it to you, I can't recall it. Money's got to be right. So the 3 of us look at it together. Sarah, Sheree, and I. But Sheree really heads that up, so she can take conversations about allocations. Leslie does parent-family engagement. So if you need some innovative ideas for parent-family engagement, she's your girl. You can call her. Teresa is our state ombudsman, handles equitable services. Okay, private schools. Okay.
We'll be looking.
Lakeisha, send up Lakeisha. This is a newbie on our team.
Whoop, whoop.
AP to doing N&D. She is the state coordinator for N&D. So I'm very, very glad to have her, especially while we're in the middle of an N&D audit. Welcome to the fire. She just got tossed in. Did I get us all? Martha, Leslie,
You don't know all of them. Can you have them stand?
Here's my team standing up here in the room. This is Lakeisha, Sarah Landers, Sheree, Teresa, Leslie, and Martha are not in this session, but I'm happy to point them out if you do not know who they are as well. Okay? I'm going to give Sheree a moment to go over some funding, and then I'll come back up.
Good afternoon. As Jennifer said, my name is Sheree Mosley. I am the allocation expert at the state, and I'm also a program manager. Oftentimes, I do get questions on how allocations are determined. There's a lot of things that are determined at the federal level. For your federal funding, there are 4 pots of federal funding. You have your basic grants, your concentration, your targeted grant, and your EFIG, which is your education finance grant. These are the 4 pots of funding that determines your base level allocation. There's other aspects of it, but this is a listing of the base for all of the school districts if you qualify. Some districts qualify for all pots. We have some districts that only qualify for 2 or 3. For Title I only. This is for Title I. Here we have our Title I state allocation. This is for the FY25 allocation. These have already went out to the districts, so you guys should already kind of be in the mix of the planning stages for this. The $2,279 million, that's the base. From that base, we do take a state admin, which is a 1% cap. We do have our Part D, which is our delinquent, which is the $218,268 you see there. For the neglected reserve, we do pull off that $1.6 million. School improvement, it is mandated at 7%. Oftentimes, over the last couple years, we haven't been taking the full 7% because of the decrease in the overall allocation, but it is mandated at 7%. And then as you see, the Title I Part A to the LEA is $265 million is what goes out to the state. Here you have your Title II allocation, which is the $36.3 million. We do take a 1% state cap allocation. We have your school leadership preparation, other activities, state level support, and about $34 million went out to the state. Now we got a Title V. Title IV. We also take a state cap off of that. That is also capped at 1%. For state level activities, 329,000. The 329,000, and then about 20 million goes out to the state. And here we have our Title V. Title V is the smallest of the allocations that we have. We still take a state cap off of that, 154,000, and about 4.9 million goes out to the LEAs.
Let me say, I'm a numbers person, right? When you're looking at that, sometimes we don't take a whole 1% for admin on our side. It just depends. Okay, we do that dissection of how much we need to run our programs too, just like you do on your side. We do have some reserves that we can take to the state level in some of those grants, like Title IV. So you do see some reserves there. As Tiffany was talking this morning, as she put those proposals up for budgets, I know you noticed Title II and Title III and things that she said there. One thing that I have noticed over the years, we started doing Title IV in 2018. This grant seems to really be liked by the U.S. Department of Ed. They continue to give it more money. It has its own group that works with it that we have to communicate quarterly with. So I would say enjoy your Title IV funding. It seems to really stick. Do it well. Do it with a logic model. Set your goals. Use it in the well-rounded category as best you can. It tends to hold a lot of weight with everything that I go to. So I thought I would say that while I'm at it. Jennifer, what is the ideal timeline for final allocations? If ART were no hang up, what could I expect? Okay, so Jewel and I put this in at the last round table that we spoke at. So you will have it on paper, approximately what you can expect when in terms of final allocations, as long as everything works seamlessly, right? We typically give out 3 allocations only at final, and it only goes to a select rural district. So you don't do preliminary 3 allocations. But final for everything else, we try to send it out by email. It comes out in email directly from me prior to the SCAD conference. Anybody have any idea why we gave it out prior to the SCAD conference if we can? Well, I had 77 people asking me, when does it come? Or correct. When we go, we try our best to say, this is what you're going to get if it's approved before we go to SCAD. And we go ahead and we put it in the ART. It takes time for that GAN to go through all the offices at the South Carolina Department of Education. Finance office is looking at sub-fund numbers and, all indirect cost rates and all the things that are associated with finance there. Grants, Audrey Shiflett, she's looking at the legal language of it, so it takes time for that. But this would be an ideal timeline as to what you can expect. 3 pieces of the puzzle work hand in hand at the same time. As soon as we get the GANs back with Ellen's signature on it, then Sarah and I send the GANs to Gail Knight. And we say, you can go ahead and start emailing to the superintendents and the district coordinators. At the same time, then it goes to Sheree to say, go ahead and load it up in GIMS. And it also goes right to Grants Accounting to request that they put it into GAP. So those things occur seamlessly at the same time. Okay. GIMS updates are done by Sheree. So I can oversee that, she does that pretty quickly, and our office, Grants Accounting, is pretty quick too. But know that my office is not doing gaps, we have to request that Grants Accounting put in gaps. But Jennifer, why is my gaps budget not approved? I have to have the sign GAN on file before I can approve gaps. I can approve GIMs, but I cannot approve gaps without the GAN. So please keep that detail in mind. Okay, here are our resources and all our new forms that you may need. Hopefully you won't need the 15% form, but if you do, it's there. I will be in touch regarding Title IV and preliminary allocations in the next little while. Okay, feel free to call us if you need us or if we can help you in any way. Any one of us on my team is happy to help. Thank you and have a great afternoon.